Today, Yami was conducting an experiment to try and understand people psychologically. "Thank you for coming," Yami said as he and Eri sat in his room. "It's fine. You said you wanted to ask me something?" Eri asked. Yami nodded. "If you had one wish, what would be?" "Sorry. What would it be?" "Only selfish wish." "That's a selfish wish." Eri thought about that. What's something she personally would want that wasn't for someone else's sake? She could wish to be able to control her quirk, but then was that a selfish wish? It's not like she used her quirk for anything other than helping people, so that really didn't count. Maybe an object? What's something that she wanted, that she didn't already have, and she couldn't just buy? Only one thing came to mind. "A golden apple," Eri said aloud. Her mouth was watering a bit. "I've always wanted to taste one. A perfect golden apple. A golden apple." Yami jotted that down. "Okay. Thank you. You can go." "Huh? Is that it?" Eri asked, jolting from her golden apple trance. Yami nodded. "Please send K next. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX her turn to answer that question. I guess I'd ask for true love. True love, huh? Yami hadn't been expecting that answer, but he also didn't really know what to expect from Kay. Why? It just sounds nice. Starting my own family. Kay shrugged. I want to do that one day. Such a simple answer. Maybe that's what Yami should have expected. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX train then? Yami asked as he jotted that down. Worth it, Fu said simply. Oh, and Kyosi wishes for chocolate. Yami nodded. I already wrote that down. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX I? Yami clarified. Not necessary. I just want them all to go away, and leave us alone. Kiba grumbled. Forever. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX happened, you'd have never met Izuku, Yami pointed out. Sanson's eyes went wide as she realized that fact. Oh, I take it back. I wish for, to taste food, Yami nodded. Makes sense. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX figured that would be the case. This poor girl had such a hard time letting go. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX so much easier. Kano and Daddy have done a lot to help me, but I want to be able to do that kind of thing myself, you know? Yami nodded. I'm sure you can do it if you keep trying. Like how I learned to talk. Yeah, you really improved a lot. I'm proud of you, little brother. Shiruka smiled as she got up and patted Yami on the head. Which one of us is older again? Yami asked. Who knows, I forget our ages all the time, Shiruka admitted. Let's not pretend we care about that now. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Yami nodded, and after jotting that down, he got up and gave Fuku a hug. Thanks, Fuku said, hugging him back. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX nodded. That made sense. Right now things were especially hard on people with mutant quirks. After the Meta-Liberation Army's attacks on Izuku, the quirk equalist groups became furious and started becoming more proactive and aggressive, prompting quirk discrimination groups to become even more active and aggressive, which prompted the quirk equalist to get more aggressive and so on and so forth. This led to the two groups being openly at war with each other, fighting and even killing each other in the streets. And of course, the quirk discrimination groups didn't just target the activities, but anyone they discriminated against. Whether that be people with weak quirks or the quirkless, or people with mutant quirks. And unlike those other two groups, people with mutant quirks couldn't really hide, or blend in. So they wore targets on their backs 24/7. Yami could only hope, for their sakes, that things died down sooner rather than later. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Of course, Kai couldn't fit in Yami's room, so Yami had to come to him. Yami nodded and jotted that down. Again, a predictable wish. It was no secret that Kai was left unincluded in many things, simply because he couldn't be included due to his size. Yami went over and petted Kai's head. One day, Dad will find a way to make you smaller. One day, Kai purred. No matter how many activities he was left out of, he always knew his family cared about him. And that meant more to him than anything. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX cloth over him so he couldn't be seen directly. Yami jotted it down. Still stalking people? And with that, the sheet fell to the ground, signifying that Mu fled into his own dimension. That is a tricky one, Yonda said. Part of me wishes that I was never born with this stupid quirk, but that would mean I'd have never come here. And that makes me wonder if it's worth it. Of course, while I do love this place dearly, I'm hesitant to say it was worth losing my mind and innocence to get here. If you didn't come here, you'd still be with your parents. Yami mused. Probably not. That relationship was doomed to fail, and there is no way either of them would ever want to keep me. Yonda sighed. So I don't know where I would have ended up. Which also adds to my conundrum. So you don't know what your wish would be? Yami asked. I really don't. Part of me wishes that I had offensive power, but to be fair, I don't know what terrible things I might do with that. Yonda acknowledged. Then again, this is supposed to be a selfish wish, so I wish for power. As expected, Yami thought, slightly judgmentally. Oh, don't act like you didn't seek out power yourself. Yonda defended with a pout. Yami nodded. True. But I wouldn't use that power to set people I don't like on fire. I wish I could perfectly control my quirk. Netsu answered. Like, not just not burning everything, but I want to be able to turn it off too. Then I could do way more things. Like eating normal food. Or break dance. Or kiss someone. You want to kiss someone? Yami raised an eyebrow in slight surprise. Not yet. But you know, maybe one day. Netsu shrugged. That's fair, Yami said as he jotted that down. I wish Ghost Freak was replaced with a different transformation, Ken said, looking disgusted at even having to talk about that form. Yami nodded. That's what I thought. Honestly, you don't know how lucky you are. Ken vented out with a pout. Being able to control your quirk so easily. You have no idea how hard we have it. That's true, and not true, Yami said, frowning slightly. For you, it's hard to control, but for me, I can control it. Or I can't. Huh? Can't you control your grim no matter what? Ken asked, confused by this new information. Yami shook his head. Most grim. I can control it. But some of them are different. The ones with souls. Like Chaos and Seikyo. I cannot control them. And also, the one Dad doesn't tell us about. Huh? Ken repeated. Now even more confused. Yami shook his head. Doesn't matter. Dad will tell me. When he's ready. I wish Ken could fully control Ghost Freak. Nara sighed. Huh. Similar but different. Yami noted. What did Ken wish for? Nara asked. He wanted to replace Ghost Freak, Yami answered. Yeah, that sounds about right, Nara said with a frown. Personally, I just think Ghost Freak would be useful. With his ability to go through walls and all. So I think so long as Ken could control him, it'd be fine to keep it around. Although I can't say I'd be happy to see them again. You're a good sister, Nara, Yami praised. Nara gave a slight smirk. Yeah, I will try. I wish I knew more about who I was, Mies answered with a frown. Or at least who the other me was. Maybe I'd wish we were two separate people. Yeah. That's what I'd wish for. I wish we were two separate people. So maybe I just wouldn't have to worry about it. Yami couldn't really decide what to think about Nisa's wish. He knew very little about her condition and even less about how to treat it. In the end, all he could do was sympathize with her hardship. Yami set down his notepad and got up, before giving Nisa a very gentle head pat. We're here to help you. Nisa's eyes went wide for a moment before a smile broke out on her face. Yeah, I know you guys are. Thanks. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX look of pure rage on her face. If those pathetic worms never existed, so much tragedy could have been avoided. I will never forgive them. Never. What about Tenko, Himiko, Sheena, and Nice? Yami asked. Sheena and Nice were never villains. They were victims forced to act like villains. Nice scoffed. As for Tenko and Himiko, their villainous selves no longer exist. Erased by time. Their past selves never made the decision to hurt anyone, so I won't blame them for anything. Real villains are people who make the choice to hurt others, out of their own selfish desires. Those are the people I will hunt for the rest of my life. Yami jotted this down. Better than he thought, but still not healthy. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX myself. It's just that with my terrible parents, ugly natural appearance, and near complete lack of talent, I'm not exactly in love with myself either. We only have one life, and I think you're doing the best you can with it, Yami said. Thanks, Yami, Sheena said, giving him a small smile. It really does mean a lot to hear that. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX here, but I really wish I didn't have to get kicked out of my country. Fair enough. Yami shrugged. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Please take this serious, Yami said. Ugh. Fine. Jin rolled his eyes. I wish the real world was as interesting as my dreams. So far the only reason I have to stay awake is food. Interesting. Yami always wondered why Jin liked to sleep so much. Even after he got the restrictor rings. So that's why. Well, there was one thing besides food that you could only really get in the real world. Maybe he should interfere just a little bit here. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX imagine that. That'd be freaking sweet. You're not wrong, Yami said as he jotted that down. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. I wish that our quirk also boosted our minds, not just our bodies, G answered. Maybe then I could get my sisters to understand the beauty of science. And it'd be useful for plenty of other things. Again, not wrong. Yami shrugged. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX That would mean me and my sisters wouldn't exist. Inu answered with a saddened expression. So, I guess I wish that Daddy becomes a good person after he. No. That still doesn't feel right. You don't have to wish about him, Yami pointed out. But I don't know what else to wish for, Inu said honestly. I always used to hope that one day Daddy would change, but after I learned about Big Brother, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I guess, I wish I knew how to feel about all of this. Would you like a hug? Yami asked, putting down his notepad and opening his arms. Yes please, Inu said, opening her arms as well, allowing the two to enter a comforting embrace. That helped Inu feel just a bit better. Just a bit.